Good morning. Happy second Sunday of Easter to you. I'm here today in my Stay Close to Your Roots shirt because I think we're all staying a little close to our roots today. The books that I want to recommend for this week are Imagine by John Lennon. Has some good notes in it by Yoko Ono about the illustrations and what they mean. And Political Tribes by Amy Chua. This is a good book that I think helps elucidate in clear terms and a pretty easy read, what's going on in our political system today and the ways that we seem so divided in ways that we haven't in the past, perhaps. And there's a little fly flying around my Christmas mug because it's Easter. But anyway, this is a good book to talk about our current political situation and the political divides that we have and how they can be seen as perhaps more tribal than even ideological, or some of the ways that we often frame our political arguments. And perhaps it's better to frame them, or more honest to frame them, as tribal. I can hear doves. I hope you can too. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about an idea that I first heard from Malidoma Patrice Somé, or that it was first explained to me in really good ways by this author and spiritual leader, Malidoma Patrice Somé. And he talks about our kind of industrialized world, our modern world with all of its machinery and such as a machine, and the ways that we participate in it as machine-like, and how it takes us away from our humanness. And so I think as we have all kind of disengaged from the machine, as it were, we all might be experiencing something a little bit different. So I would guess that many of us in this machine, and as it stops turning, I kind of imagine, the kind of clockwork wheels and cogs and stuff. And what I imagine is that as those have kind of stopped in motion, that some of us have kind of fallen out of the machine a little bit, and we're just, a little bit of a reprieve or restfulness, a liberation. And there are others of us who have just, in the stop motion, just kind of felt flung against the wall and are not feeling a pleasant sense of liberation, but might instead be feeling dizzy, or like you just hit your dang face on the wall, or like you can't quite see what's ahead of you because wall. And that's a really different kind of experience of the machine stopping. And so I think this, again, can harken a little bit back to our tribes from Amy Chua's book. A lot of the way that this virus is affecting us regionally. And it's affecting us along somewhat of the lines of the urban-rural divide, which is also somewhat of the lines that divide us tribally and politically. And so as we think of this virus and how it helps both elucidate our similarities and our common humanity and our tribes and our privileges, our pre-existing conditions, if you will, as we sit in this moment together and realize where we all have been in this machine, we can take a look up at this machine that we have all fallen out of and see it from a different angle. And I hope that while the machine lacks motion, we can see how it served us well and where its grimy parts are. And I'm hoping that as we move out of this and again hearkening back to the Kubler-Ross stages of grief, we all will come out of this in different ways, in different speeds, and will be dealt different levels of severity. You guys are getting a lot of little bugs in the screen today. But what I hope is that this new vantage point of the machine gives us an ability to see things that we didn't see before, to see ways that we can fit into the workings of society in ways that we might not have seen before, and ways that might not have seemed possible before because the machine was running, right? And you can't just stop the whole machine. But we've pretty much stopped the whole machine. So now's a good time to fix it, right? So now that we're ready to fix the machine, we have to take a look at where things are. Are we gonna let this machine just grind back up and keep going? Or is it gonna be like the Titanic on the bottom of the ocean? Is it just gonna kind of like rot? And are we going to create new ecological systems on top of it that grow more organically and maybe aren't such monstrous death machines? There's probably a better metaphor for the economy than the Titanic. But I heard this quote today, and of course I can't remember where I heard it, and I didn't write it down. But sorry, whoever. The thing about the truth is, it can be denied but not avoided. And I think that that has a lot to say about this moment. Whatever happens, we can deny it for a certain amount of time, but we can't avoid it. And as we all move into this moment, this future together as it unfolds, we all need to take a look at this machine and see where we can fit into it, what parts we can replace, how we can keep the economy moving and families living with our own skills and make things happen in different and new ways, because I think that might be necessary. So as we move into the second Sunday of Easter, and I think about the scripture for today, I think about that quote and about doubting Thomas needing more proof. And I think that that's where a lot of us still are this year, right? I mentioned last week that we're not totally at the resurrection moment yet. The tomb is empty, but where is Jesus? And so maybe today we're a little bit Thomas, and Jesus might be right in front of us. And we still feel like we need more proof. Like, can you eat some fish and can I touch your wounds? Because I don't know, right? But the thing about truth is, it can be denied, but not avoided. Like an iceberg, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And so, as we all meet this moment together, I hope that we can all look up at the machine, at the wounds, and see where we are with clarity. Because when I started this whole vlog thing, I said, or maybe week 2 or 3, I said that I think the same place where the stages of grief end, in acceptance, is where the spiritual journey begins. It's what leads towards transformation. The journey's not always easy, and it will be harder for some of us than for others. But it's the journey ahead of us. And we can meet it head on. We can analyze the way the machine has worked and works before we try to start it up again. Or we can run into this blindly. But we can't avoid it. Be well and leave room for Jesus.